What's up, everyone? It's Coach Laura and Coach Ty. Thank you for joining us. Episode 17, keeping it real with TNL. This is a good one. We got a lot going on today in this one. I'm just going to read so I don't miss anything. We're going to talk about our physical appearance and the changes that have happened over the last 16 weeks leading up to this. And how we got there, how it really wasn't even in the plans, but here we are. Then we're going to talk about mindset, because with changes in the physical, there's always a change in the mind. I love that. Health, social life goals. How did all that change for us over the time that we've been recording this podcast as well? And then the evolution of who we are over the past years, right? Oh, we talked about ourselves like 10 years ago, and then how it is now. And it's crazy. So
absolutely. So I'm honestly very excited for this episode as well, because you're absolutely right. There were some unexpected changes for both of us that we didn't quite expect. And it's one of the things that I kind of love about it. Just kind of happened through this whole process. It wasn't even super like, this needs to happen. We just kind of went with our plans and wanted to see what the outcome would be. So I'm very excited to share that stuff with the crowd and talk about all that.
awesome.
But and then also the other thing I can't talk about is the Kylie Minogue concert. We will dive into that.
We'll deep dive. That was last night. And I'm still here.
Yep.
Look at me, living the dream, dude.
Showed up, ready to go.
Don't miss a day. Don't miss a day. Quick aside, little MetFix update. So I will be at Rogue headquarters. Woo! May 31st, June 1st for the first MetFix seminar. Getting on a plane, I'm gonna go. Cannot wait for that. So excited. Also, I wanted to bring this up because I know as a parent, I know that I tell my daughter like real things and helpful things. And she's like, when did you get here after I finished a whole talk, right? And then someone she doesn't know on TikTok says the same thing. She's like, have you heard? And I'm like, what? So I'll share it too on CrossFit's page, Coach Lori page, from the Glassman archives talking about the cholesterol myth. Oh, where have we heard this before? And they talk about this book. Oh, who's had it here like this whole time?
Forever.
And then I'm going to let everybody know that I'm bringing in a bookshelf. We redid Ashley's room. And there's a beautiful bookshelf that will fit under that amazing picture board that everyone loves. And I'm going to make a little library. You can check out a book. You can, if you're asking specific questions, I can tell you which ones to look at. And then because I'm like a total nerd, there's a lot of highlighted sections in a lot of the books that we have. There's so many in the office. So that way you can continue your pursuit of knowledge as well. And then maybe when you see that like MDs and Glassman and brilliant scientists are posting what I've been talking about, you'll hear what they're saying. Even if you haven't heard what I was saying.
Even if you've been saying it this whole entire time loud and clear.
Right here, it's right here. I know. Okay, so that was it. I love it. I love it when things that they do parallel things that I've been doing, and we're just all on the same page. So we're just bringing you the best information. All right, so let's kick this off because this is a big one. Okay, I want to ask you, when did you first start noticing the physical changes in you during the winter at 100? Like,
let's talk about that. So, but
okay.
first things first, with the new bookshelf and the whole library, guys, if you take a book and you don't bring it back within a week, there's going to be a 10-cent fee for every day, like a real life.
There's a 10-cent. Remember the cards and you get to like you owe 25 cents. No
way.
Don't make me drive across town and turn that over now. 10 cents. That's all we ask a day.
So with the winter amp, physical changes. So for anybody who doesn't know about the winter amp, I think that was episode 10 that we had spoke about that. So if you haven't heard about that, go back and watch episode 10 and then you'll be caught up to speed. But the question, when did I start noticing the first physical changes? I want to say I started to notice the first changes within about 7 days. And it wasn't anything super crazy, but I noticed that I was feeling a whole lot better mentally and in my body. Like it wasn't hard for me to wake up. It wasn't hard for me to kind of get into the groove of working out. Usually, I personally hate working out at 6:30. My favorite time to work out is about 10 a.m. But it's been a habit that I've like, dude, if it doesn't get done then it probably won't. So as probably at about day 6 or 7, I remember waking up before the alarm went off and I was like, I actually feel good. I'm actually ready to go. So that was one of the first that was within about 7 days. And then obviously I started noticing stuff later on, but those were the first changes. I instantly felt better, probably from the real food. And then obviously because I stopped drinking, I didn't have any more of the brain fog or the frogginess. And then just because I was doing something for 7 days consistent, I had kind of built that momentum where I was like, okay, I'm kind of feeling this. So that's when I had first started noticing about day 7. So let's switch it up because this one is going to be this one was kind of out of nowhere. Your body composition changed. You've made some huge changes, and you haven't really spoke about it, or you've just kind of let it happen. You've been kind of low key doing your thing. So let's talk about what you did from basically the start of the year up until now, and the results that you've been getting.
So what's interesting is once I did the last set of blood work, I ordered my own blood work, so I'll never get it through the doctor, right? To see if the insulin resistance had been reversed. My fasting insulin was 3.1. I was like, that's low. That's fantastic. I just want to be like 5 or under, like 6 or under, right? Like 5 would have been great. And then there was like momentum in that. So it's not that I changed anything. I feel like the stress and the worry from, oh my God, I'm, menopause, perimenopause coming back and insulin resistance, and that's going to fuck me up. Like, I don't want to be diabetic. I don't want another autoimmune disease. So there was relief in that. And then there was a switch, like my whole life, because like we had talked about in our earlier episodes, when you're fat and make fun of for a lot of your childhood, teenage years on and off throughout life, like you just want to look decent so that people stop shit talking you. Like, oh, you didn't even need to compliment me, just stop shit talking me, right? And so then it was like, this is really always about health. And I've missed that in my quest to not feel picked on, right? So I just want to be my best self. Like, work the countdown to May 14th, be 48, right? Like, cannot wait to see what the metabolomics retest and the GI retest show for all the work I've done the past year and a half. Like, that was great. And then I've never lost consistency with the workouts, no matter how busy I am. And you know that. Yeah. And then there was something fantastic about like my Whoop will see the weight from my Shapa scale, but my Shapa scale gives me a color, not a number. And then one day I just looked at my number and I was like, holy shit, like when did this happen? So I don't know, it just happened. Like you're eating well, you're thinking about your health, you're working out. My Whoop, the best part of the Whoop is it makes me accountable for sleep and recovery instead of just burning the candle at both ends, right? My grandma's looking down like, I've been saying that to you your whole life. You're burning the candle at both ends, right? So I think it was just the excitement of healing myself yet again, right? Helping others through that, making it about my health always. And then my body's like, bonus, here's your, new size, back in the new weight category. Like it just happened. But I see the difference now. And that's a big deal. Because you know how I am. You know it. He's like, I do. Like, don't bother keeping her compliment. She's like, whatever. Yeah. So it was like, oh shit, like sleeveless thing last night to the concert. Like
you're looking good, and
working. Yeah, like I'm not sad being in a size 6 across the board. Like I'm not at all. Not far from my 4s either. So like, let's go. Like, but again, it's just because when you take care of the inside, the outside reflects that eventually if you stay the course. And I think that's where a lot of us lose it because we're impatient or we're just losing weight for like a wedding or, like if it's really just about your health, you're gonna look as good as you feel. That's what happened to me.
Absolutely.
That's really it. There was no magic pill. There was no Ozempic. Shocker.
I know. I'm really?
What? You're not injecting that with your hormone replacement therapy? No, I'm not. Not at all. So, oh my God. I know. Spoiler alert.
So yes. Really quick, I don't want to cut you off, but I'm honestly curious. Like, let's kind of speak. So you obviously in that time, yes, you've been consistent with the workouts. What's your food? But then like, let's just kind of talk just a touch because I'm
so I really do. When I say I cook like 99% of what we eat, it's probably more like 99.9% of what we eat, right? If I'm gonna make grass-fed burgers, I'll make like 8 because there's Tim and Ashley and I eating, and he can eat 2 in one serving. So lots of grass-fed meat. I eat red meat pretty much every day. So cholesterol myth, right? Read the book. chicken thighs or breasts. Breasts are dry, like we were just talking about. So I'll have it with homemade guac or avocado or something. I do a lot of like chuck roast or even a tri-tip in the crock pot. I don't have a smoker, which makes me really sad. But if I did, I would smoke everything. All my meat would be amazing. Not too much pork for me, only because I don't detox well with that gene mutation, right? It's not an excuse. It's like my body doesn't work like someone who doesn't have that genetic mutation. So I honor that, like a little bit of bacon here and there.
Yeah.
I don't do dairy still because in this country, dairy like kills me. In Europe, I ate dairy for 2 weeks and lost weight. So it's when we talk about clean food, that's why we talk about the lack of it here. Um, and no grains, like yeah, a little bit of lentil here and there. Still, if I need a little bit of carbohydrate, I'll cook red lentils in homemade bone broth and cook it in that for like in a crock pot so it breaks it down. And then a little bit of red lentil pasta, single ingredient imported from Italy, legitimately single ingredient. Like we're not hiding stuff on the label because the FDA said we could, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, I mean it's pretty basic. Vegetables, very minimal fruit. I think I had a sumo citrus orange because those were the bomb. Like when I had the CGM on, which we'll talk about later, just to see how it affected it.
Dude, I can't wait to talk about that.
CGM, yeah. So really, it's just good, clean food. And what's fascinating is someone who, like, the person that's like, oh my god, but my cravings around my cycle or when I'm stressed. I was like craving central. I would have to just like. It would have been easier to get a lobotomy than talk myself down some days. Like it was like that, but it was never. It was once the gut heals and you've cleaned your system out, you really don't have that. Like there's not bad bacteria screaming for the carbohydrate, the chips, the I don't drink soda, but some sodas, a lot of people. And really not much alcohol at all, if any. Like a glass of red wine, one maybe here and there. Yeah. Because alcohol really, for me, I can have like a drink and not red wine. Let's just say I have a limoncello spritz, because you know me, Italian like through and through. I can go up 1.5 pounds overnight from just hanging on to the book from that little bit of prosecco. That's just my body. Know your body, right? Like know how that is. So that's what the food's like. And no, it's not a lot of time to cook that much. A little bit on Sunday, a little bit on Thursday. And if I feel like a home cooked fresh meal, I love the Metfix daily recipes. I do as many as I can. Most of them have dairy, so I'll use dairy-free alternatives or just something different and make it our own. And I like to have that fresh with the family when we can have dinner together. But I'm not spending more than 2 hours a week cooking for 3 people for 7 days worth of food.
So
we should just have a how-to.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, because that basically knocks out every single excuse. I don't have time, I can't cook. You're obviously cooking for you, for Tim, and your daughter.
Tim's like 3 16-year-old boys.
Yeah,
Tim fit
Tim has an appetite.
He's like the Brazilian steakhouse on Easter. If Ashley and I didn't eat, he ate more than for all three of us paying. Like he's incredible and just he's been an athlete his whole life. So his metabolism is like cracked out. Like it just moves like that. So yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, that's how come I honestly want to ask that, because I already know that people are going to be hitting you up because you obviously look amazing. So you're going to be getting a lot of like, like what'd you do? And I'd rather just have it kind of laid out. Like there was no secret. It was just discipline and consistency, and you eating real food, home cooked meals, and just staying on top of your fitness.
Yeah.
So do you have any tips for the cravings for females? Like, is there anything that you would do to help you out, or do you just?
So here's the deal. Like I get it. Like hormonal fluctuations affect like. I mean, we're just different. You're a guy, so you'll never know what like my period's coming and I'm gonna eat the house feels like because you don't have all these things fluctuating, right? We all have estrogen, testosterone project, but it's different because it's like surges and huge drops. But that being said, from a healing perspective of what I do with people with their gut health, when you have like gut dysbiosis or you have a cortisol problem, like we talked about, which affects hormones and stuff, your gut's a mess. And if you're one of those people that has like eczema, like if you're always breaking out and you're in your 40s or your kid's covered in eczema, like that's the first sign that your gut's a mess. The next sign, if it doesn't affect the skin, is the cravings, because unless it's you're deep into the throes of like emotional eating, which is a totally separate conversation, you got to heal the gut. So get a good probiotic. Talk to me. There's something you can add to your water, like a GI Revive or a IgGI Shield, to kind of rebuild any damage to the villi in the small intestine. That'll help a lot. If you need to come down, like wean off, I get that too. The HU brand, the Hue Paleo Chocolate, it didn't even affect my glucose when I had a square or two. And that might be enough for you. Or a really clean, no sugar added almond butter or peanut butter, like a teaspoon, just to get something in there that feels like calming to the body and mind. Because you're like, I got to have something, will help. So there are ways to come down from the insatiable need for something. But you got to know yourself and know what's driving it. Is it just hormones, or is it gut issues? Because your gut's off. And,
That's your,
yeah.
no, that's exactly why I'd ask that, because that's a valuable tip. Like someone who's probably struggling, hopefully they'll be able to get something out of that and be able to put that into their own repertoire of how to kind of deal with that. And you're obviously living proof that it is possible.
Yeah.
Very good stuff.
Awesome. So let's go a little bit deeper, because just as many people have been talking about your physical transformation. And what brought this about is we're making tiny clips from all the podcast episodes to share. And I think at the same time we had the reaction of like, oh my God, we look so different now. Like it was literally looking back to episodes 2, 3, and 4 to now, where we were like, wow. So tell me about that. Like, did you see that in the mirror, or did it take because remember there was that time in advanced class and I was like, I need to do laundry later. I'm gonna borrow your abs. Remember? I think that right there. So like when did you notice that?
So I personally noticed probably some of the more physical changes, like I want to say around week 4 is when I started really kind of seeing them.
Yeah.
Like I could tell that I was obviously losing weight. I could tell that clothes were actually looser, but naturally, it's not one of those things that I instantly picked up on, like looking in the mirror wise.
Yeah.
Of course, I could notice when something is a little bit looser that used to not be as like those are easy kind of telltale signs, like, okay, you're on the right track. But I would probably say around week 4 is when I honestly was looking in the mirror and I was like, you're not the same person who you were January 2nd.
Yeah.
And so I remember even like pulling up the photo that I had taken from day 1, even though like it was like, I almost want to say it was probably like 25 days. And I had intentionally taken another picture just because there was already a pretty noticeable change after 25 days. So I would say after 25 is when I had finally noticed. And then I want to say maybe around the 40th day is when other people like that. I think that's when Tim had mentioned something to me like, hey, something's going on. Like, you look different. Like I could start to see it. So it took around 40 days for everybody else to see it. And it was around 25 for me to actually look and be like, yeah, I could tell a change. But
that's awesome.
Let's go into, we didn't get a chance. Let's dive into it right now. Let's talk about the concert last night. How did you manage? You've obviously just told the crowd how you've been doing amazing with food.
Yeah. So what are we doing? Chase Center. Like,
Yeah.
what are we going to eat? Right.
Concert. How'd you
So
handle that?
I think I bought the tickets like October or November it was last year. And in my early 20s, age 21, 27 years ago, my best friend Guy and I, like, we always went dancing together. And Kylie was always playing. So we're like, what? So when I saw that, I was like, Guy, you want to take Ashley to the Kylie Minogue concert with me? Let's take her. Because we had always said, like, once he's her godfather too, right? So everybody loves little Snow Pea, the nickname he gave her. And the moment she was born, he was like the third person to hold her, I think, on the planet after her dad and me. So he was like, yes, because we used to say, when she's older, we'll take her out for her 21st birthday. And I was like, I don't know about that so much right now. I don't know about a club in Vegas, but it was a great idea like 17 years ago. But we went to the city. But showing my age was that I was like, I will drive to Guy's house in Oakland and we will lift in and lift back. Because I just can't with San Francisco. Like, oh God, I'm so even the dude driving, I was like, oh, like I'm getting hella angry because I have more time than money, which is never the case, right? But here we go, like you wasting time in traffic, an hour from Oakland into the city, like right at a restaurant. So the first thing we did is we found a restaurant where we could eat.
Okay. Now, hold on really quick. Was that planned out ahead of time, or did you kind of?
I had talked about it with Guy like a few weeks ago. I was like, hey, are we gonna eat in the city? Because like honestly, we had to leave at like 4:30 to get in for like a 7:30 concert, and if we're gonna do all that and have time to eat and get to Chase Stadium, all these different things, right? So he threw out some places, and I was like, okay. And for me, the biggest thing is like, I know I can do a grass-fed burger, no bun, but please tell me they're not mixing like friggin' breadcrumbs in them. So I always call and check if it's not labeled as such. And we found a cleaner restaurant called Marlowe. I don't even remember the address. Brandon Street, maybe. I don't know. It was great. So I had a grass-fed burger, no fries, no bun, no cheese, and then I had grilled broccoli with lemon and like olive oil. So there was no crap on my broccoli either. And then my daughter had like the Saudi tuna thing, and then she split the burger with me, and then Guy had bone marrow and tartar, right? Like everybody had something fantastic. No alcohol. This is the thing too. Like I mean, we always drank in the city, and I'm at the gay club with my best friend, and every guy was buying me drinks because I'm like this. Look at her with Guy, his best friend. Like I've had more Cosmos in my 20s than I'm not good at math, so I don't know. But I was like, oh, I'm okay. Ice water with lemon, get to Chase Center, spend like $10 on a water, cost of a drink back in the late 90s. Didn't need a snack, like stayed full like all night, danced the whole night. And you know, the concert was amazing. And and then like this morning, I'm like, that was a great example for my child who will be 21 and you know, almost 4 years that you can have a blast in the city at a concert without needing alcohol or shit. Like, cause do you remember that? I don't know if you had the same experience, but we used to go out like we'd go to a bar or a pub and we'd be eating crap food and then you're drinking and dancing and it's 2 a.m. and you're like grabbing a street vendor hot dog or slice of pizza.
You know about that life.
You know about that life. And then that it kind of hit me. I'm like, wow, like really things have come to a new level. So that's how I survived an amazing concert. Like,
It's a big deal.
yeah.
Because so, and that was the other reason I was kind of asking some of the questions about that, because so many people, obviously, even clients of mine, clients of yours, sometimes things come up with like, well, I'm going to this thing and I don't have a choice. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to have a drink. I'm gonna have to eat bad. And like you just said, you absolutely do have a choice.
Yeah. You could have eaten bad at this restaurant. You could have like totally gone off the rails if you felt like it. They had desserts. You didn't even look at the dessert menu, but they offered it. I mean, you could have eaten as crappy as you wanted to or as healthy as you wanted to.
Yeah.
And even if it was the best you can do with what you have, it's a better choice.
Exactly.
Like there's a beauty to being gluten and dairy intolerant in this country, is that there's really not wiggle room on that. Like I'm not going to eat like fried chicken with cheese because I'll be sick for like 3 months. You know what I mean? So it's not even, then I'm just going to stay hungry and be glad I brought an Epic bar in my purse. But that's the thing too, right? You can pregame your parties and concerts with food at home. You can, you know, they looked in my bag to make sure there wasn't anything dangerous, but they didn't care about my Altoid mints or my lip gloss. And if there was a beef steak, he wouldn't have made me throw it out. So there's ways around it. I think that if you remember what makes the concert fun is the people you're with and the music and the good time, then you don't have to stick to that mindset of like, no, I gotta be shitty or shit faced or tipsy or drunk or white girl wasted, whatever you want to call it, to have the best time at that venue. We had a blast.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, Guy didn't drink. Nobody drank. Ashley couldn't, but not. I mean, the two people in the party that could were like, "Let's go and blast."
And had a great time. And so well, I'm not gonna lie, yes, it obviously takes discipline. But once again, like you said, you made a personal choice and you obviously recognize what is the point of the concert? Is it for me to be a freaking piece of shit, or is it for me to share in this
Yeah.
experience with my daughter and with my best friend? And you obviously pick the choice and you had an amazing time in the process.
I mean, man, people were talking to everybody. It wasn't like you were like, maybe some people are like, oh, liquid courage. You know, some people talk like that.
Yes.
But you were waiting in the merchandise line because there was one merchandise station for the whole concert. And the line was like, I'm at Disney World waiting for the new Star Wars line ride or whatever. It was wild, but it went quickly. And talking to everyone around the security guy, Ashley and I just being ourselves happy, like just go enjoy life. And don't feel like the food or the drinks or lack thereof take away from that. Because that was probably the best time I've had in a concert. And I've been to a ton of concerts. You know, and I was with my 17-year-old daughter, and it was like a blast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very happy.
So, you know, little things like that.
Absolutely.
All right. So we talked about that. I'm going to have another question for you now. I want to talk about the mindset change. And not just because a lot of people understand it. It's not like you finished the winter at 100 and you're like, anything else? Like you and I are on this just like life trajectory, which is what we try to explain to people, right? Like we're making a lifestyle change for a healthier life. But tell me about the mindset change and all of that. Do you still like ever think like, oh man, I miss a cheat day, or oh, you know, like just give it to us all. Let us hear what you're doing, because so many changes.
When it comes to the cheat days and everything and the whole entire mindset, I was probably, I want to say last year was when I had started coming to terms, like every time that I would have a cheat day for at least a day or two after, I always felt terrible.
Yeah.
And it was getting to a point where I had literally noticed it, like where I was like, why am I doing this? Like, even when I'm eating the food, I don't even feel all that amazing. And then I live with it for 2 days after and like feeling like crap, inflamed, bloated. I got puffy face, all these things. And it was getting to a point in 2024 where I was telling myself, I am basically like, I don't really feel the need to have a cheat meal at all anymore. And so that's when it had kind of sparked. And one of the things that kind of drove it over the top, I was with my mom. We're at the Napa Jazz Getaway. It's a 1 week event up in Napa, nothing but concerts and music and food. And so, you know, like when I'm with my mom, she's over the top. It's like R&D kitchen. It's all the best restaurants and everything is on her. And so I was like, you know, I'm having fun. We're at this place, R&D kitchen. I end up getting an ice cream with hot melted fudge on top. And this is after I'm probably around, I don't know, six drinks in. I'm just living it. It's because usually the only time that I take off any time at all is the first week of June. It isn't even for me, it's for Karen. If it was up to me, I would just work every day. But so I'm over here having fun. That was the first day. I felt like shit the entire trip. And the problems were like just getting worse, like because I was still, you know, we were still drinking. Like we had an Airbnb, so then there was food at the house. We're watching movies and we're having snacks. We're going to concerts. I'm waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm eating and I'm just hanging out. And I'm like, this is terrible. Like to the point that we went and got a gym pass to Planet Fitness just so I could go and run like 5 miles and get my head back in the game. Like this isn't me. And it was at that point where I had realized this is what most people would consider the quote unquote good life. You know, living good, not a care in the world, eating what they want. And then I was like, why do I feel like complete shit? And that was the first mental reversal of I'm fucking done with cheat days. Like that was it. It was never worth the taste of the food was never worth how I felt after. And so that was the trip that did it in my quote unquote rock bottom. So going into the winter ant was more of, for me, I'm not gonna lie, I'll be honest with you, it's more about can I stay away from the alcohol? And so that was the main thing that I was trying to get out of this was can I control my drinking? And because I like to drink. Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I remember there'd be times when my mom would have to call me up to make sure that I wasn't drinking my breakfast because that's just how I was. I didn't care. Wake up, have a couple shots, and then go about the day. Well, let's roll. Yeah. And so for me, it was one of those things where that was where I was gonna. That's what was gonna take the most discipline. And I was like, am I going to have a drink once I hit the day 100? Like I was really contemplating that, like day 25 and 30. That was more what I was thinking about. It wasn't even about the food. It was like, how long can I stay away from the alcohol? How long can I keep that away? And it probably was around day like 60 where I was like, I don't even, I'm finally not thinking about it. I'm finally not craving it. I don't, and I was still doing things, like I was still intentionally going to events. I know that I wasn't really at the night out that we had, but I was present.
We were both there short while, yeah.
Yeah, but that was one of those events where naturally I would want to drink.
Yeah.
Or, just things that come up. And I was forcing myself to still go out to these events and prove that, Tom, you don't have to drink to have fun. Obviously, you were proof of that at the concert. And so that's the biggest change was I don't need alcohol to have a good time, and I don't need alcohol to like start the weekend or kick off stuff. And that was something that I had thought that I was going to get right back on once I hit the 100. And then I was like, no,
Yeah.
fucking done.
That's legit. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And what I love about this is that it took you being healthy and then messing around with the food to realize the old normal of feeling like shit from shit food all the time you were used to, but you knew the difference now. When I meet people, so we do no sweat intros here. People who don't know, you get a 30-minute with the coach, Ty, myself, Tim, Brandy, maybe McKenna, and we ask you questions. And I always ask a little bit more on the health side because, especially for women who are close to my age, I'm like, hey, let's talk about your food in a little bit more in depth. Like, oh, I eat really healthy. What does that mean? And it's like not.
It's not
And
healthy.
then I'm like, do you ever bloat when you eat certain things? Yeah, I do that, but I just figure I'm eating too much. And I'm like, what'd you eat? I had a sandwich. Okay, so have you ever tried not do you bloat when you don't have bread or pasta or wheat? Like we try to get to the bottom of things, but they're so used to feeling like shit that they don't realize what it feels like to feel good. And that's where you're at now, right? You're in the like, this is euphoric. Like I feel amazing. And then the things that matter and are fun and create the balance in life don't revolve around the consumerism of food and alcohol. Like, because if you think about it, like at a young age, every party when you're growing up has your cake, right? Your sodas and juice boxes, pizza, like every party from like your first birthday party you can remember up until your surprise 50th for somebody. It's like food porn. It's wild.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like going crazy. Like now weddings have like donut trees. Like it's wild. We've we're going crazy with things, right? But why wouldn't it be that way? Because that's just how we're programmed from like day one, really.
You shit it on the
Because
head.
that's what people call normal.
That's not normal. Well, to us, it's not. But you're absolutely right. That's the paradigm that people don't realize is that there's been this association with good times and food.
Yeah.
And it's obviously, I didn't even think about that, but yes, it's obviously linked to most people's birthdays, either holidays where it's like a day off. And what's the first thing? Let's go grab some food and have some drinks. It's almost like any time that there is a break from the quote unquote reality of the world, that is the choice to use as the escape mechanism.
It is.
And that's a good catch, how we associate happiness with food and drink.
And then you don't even realize how crappy you feel from it because you never take a break from that lifestyle until you're tired, Lori, and you've really taken that like break.
Yeah.
And I'll say this too, like the CrossFit Ladies Night Out, it's really about just a place for women to support one another, right?
Absolutely.
I have no idea what it's like for men because I'm not one, but especially women, like I don't know why you see groups they turn on each other. Someone's a friend and some gets snarky, and there's a lot of that like bitch stuff. Like it's a sorority for 50-year-olds that nobody wants to deal with, and so it's a way to be with people that lift each other up. And only maybe half at most will drink a drink, if not just one or two at the night out. But they want to be there to talk and be together, right? We could do a night out at somebody's house. We could do a night out in the gym and, put on a show and just laugh and joke. Like, and that's what makes them so great is because we're just there like vibing off each other and talking and sharing ideas or supporting one another. Like it's it's almost free counseling to people that really know you and care. Right? That kind of thing. So I don't ever want anyone to watch this like, well, then why do a CrossFit night out at social affair? Because we go outside under the heaters and people drink or they don't, and there's food, it's healthy, and they eat or they don't, and they all have fun talking and getting together, and it gets them out of the house. And for a moment, they're not a parent or wife, they're just women hanging out, right?
Which is amazing.
Yeah. And no one's making you like feel like you got to eat the or drink the, it's just like, just go and have fun. Have soda water with lime. I don't know.
Easy as that. So, speaking of more of the food stuff, you did something that I thought was very, very cool, and I really want the audience to hear about this.
Okay.
So, for 4 weeks, you did the CGM, monitoring the glucose, and I'm curious of what did you learn in that process, and then I'll let you just take it away.
Okay. So, and I don't like needles, so like I had Tim put it on the back of my arm because I thought it was going to hurt. It didn't. It hurt more taking it off because it was really sticky. The first thing I saw was that, wow, I have really healthy glucose levels. Like, just everything's pretty easy. They give you a 70 to 140 is the normal range. I'm like, I wake, it's like low in the middle of the night, not really detecting much. And then it was more of waking up and getting busy and stressed that brought me up to like 80. I think my food is super balanced. So the most I'd see would be up to like maybe 109 or 110 when I'd had slow carbohydrate. Okay. But then it comes right back down. Like, I'm not just like, some people you can see their glucose spikes and it's just like all day fighting. Mine's like a heartbeat. CrossFit workouts, really intense ones, would bring it up a little bit, right? We're trying to put glucose, put the glycogen back. And that's all the things that happen from an intense, more of a cardio push, hit it a little bit harder than lifting, I'd say. But you could always tell my workouts. And you didn't get dinged for that. Like, you would enter what you ate when you ate it. They're not telling you your macros. You're just looking back to see what may have caused it to go crazy. And then Tim brought up a good point. Like, you're going to have to try a few different things to see what happens, right?
Kind of test. Yeah.
Because Lori, okay, that's a waste of 4 weeks. Like, what happens? So during spring break, I took Ashley, I worked Monday till 1:00. And then we took Bart into the city. We did Union Square and then walked through Chinatown to North Beach. We had a cappuccino. She had a dessert. I did not, because it was cheesecake. I can't do that, even though it's gluten-free. I'm not going to eat the dairy here. It's a ton of sugar, too. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to do that. But when we came home that night, we were going to do a family dinner with Tim. So we get home at like 7:45, which is late for me. I hate eating late, right? And she's like, I want to go to sushi. And I'm like, we'll go to Bamboo Sushi because everything there is gluten-free. I don't have to worry about the rice, the soy sauce. Even if something's tempura fried, it's good. So I'm like, I'm just going to do one rainbow roll. It's this raw fish rice. Oh my God. And I had a little bit of poke before. So I had protein with it and before. And I even took my allergy-zyme pill and a histamine pill just to make sure, because you never know. Like, when I go out to eat, I'm like, you never know what's going to happen, right? So I take that and then I get home and it's 190. 189 or 190. Well, we can look.
From sushi.
From one rainbow roll. It wasn't a buffet. It wasn't like a sushi boat where you're like, da 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 da. It wasn't like a deep fried roll. It wasn't tempura vegetables. It was one rainbow roll. And I was like,
let me ask this.
Oh my God.
No soda.
Oh God, no. Water with lemon.
Water with lemon.
Which is why I drank water, just water with lemon.
One sushi roll. And it went up to 190.
And then I got a freaking headache too. So I'm like, before I knew what, it wasn't psychosomatic from looking at the reading. Like, we're leaving like, I'm getting a headache. Maybe I'm just tired. And then I'm like, no, maybe it looks like I just ate like a literal cup of sugar. It literally, when doctors, or not when people that understand health are like rice is worse than, straight sugar. And you're like, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. It was wild. That was the highest spike that I had.
Hold on.
From sushi. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so up until that point, you hadn't had a spike that high.
Not at all. That was week 3. So the week before, the end of week 2, because, I did the 4-hour body. The Tim Ferriss slow carbohydrate is what helped me roll back. the insulin resistance, because unless I know I can really manage dairy to get a lot of vital things I'd be needing to go ketogenic, that's a hard one for me. So that's why I didn't go ketogenic. But maybe I'll get some raw milk and try it. That's a whole other, we'll test the waters. But Tim's like, my Tim, not Tim Ferriss, is like, have a cheat meal, because I don't do the cheat. I don't need it anymore. Like in the beginning where it's like a big change, you're like, I can't wait for Saturday. I'm going to have a gluten-free, dairy-free cupcake. And then you're like, can't wait for Monday for my stomach to come down again. Like,
Yeah.
Right. So I bought a bag of Siete, a little small bag of Siete brand chips. So they're cooked in avocado oil. It's organic potato with like sea salt, basic. And then I made some homemade guacamole. And then I already had some protein. I had like maybe 4 or 5 ounces of just sirloin. Because I knew I'm never going to not have protein. So even if I'm like cheating away, like you're going to get me 120 grams of protein every day. So I had some sirloin. So I pre-gamed the chips with the sirloin. And then there was guac. And that shot me up to like 130 something, like 5 chips. Five
chips.
So now potatoes and rice, which like, so you already took the wheat out of the Italian and the dairy. And now I'm like, oh my God. so even me, who's like living a clean life, losing fat consistently, got the STIKU to measure the body composition. So yeah, that big 6-pound weight loss was like 95% fat, right? Lean muscle's still there, but the 5 chips, like,
And that much
tanked
of a
me.
spike.
Yeah.
And that was after like prepping it with a protein meal to slow it and do it right, obviously.
Yeah. And then Tim's like, okay, well, wait a little bit and then have like, there's a huge chocolate bar and I'll do 1 square or 2 squares, which is half a serving. So it wasn't a lot, but it's chocolate and it's, like coconut sugar. It's paleo chocolate. Nothing from that. The Sumo Citrus, I think, took me up to like 117 or 118. I still have the app, even though I'm done with the Lingo monitor. Like I can still see what I did. But yeah, sushi was the highest. Chips were second. Potato was second. And then the fruit was a lot. And it wasn't like I had like cassava. What's that? Cassava melon or whatever it's called. That greenish one. My grandma always said, I can't remember. Or watermelon. I love that. Or peaches. Or it was just like, I love watermelon.
I'll make a black joke. I won't.
Here's something. I love it too. Maybe have some too with you. Maybe we'll have a cheap fruit. We'll call it cheap fruit. I don't even know. But yeah, that was the stuff where you saw it go up. But then you could see how, it didn't take a ton of insulin over a lot. Like the insulin came in, opened the cells, went in and came down in a normal response time. So I had a lower lingo count because I didn't have a lot of bad stuff happening. But that was shocking.
So
now I'm sad. Because I like sushi.
That's
been a while. No more.
I was gonna say, I remember when we were talking with Coach Ed off the scene from our last podcast, and he was talking about times because obviously he's a type 1, so it's there. He's been monitoring forever, and I remember him saying that he'll get a bigger spike from rice than candy.
Yeah,
which was like that to me was even like almost like a head switch, and it like and as I'm kind of thinking, obviously, I was like, it just didn't make sense because obviously if you look at rice, if you're at the store, you will literally read on the back, it'll say 0 grams of sugar. And you're all like, no, bro, rice is cool. That's what all the bodybuilders do. And you're like, I don't know now. Like now as for someone who's actually tested, and now that I've been spending time and I've also cut it out, I'm like, no, rice is kind of not the business.
I know. And potatoes too. So I'll be honest with you, once in a while, like there are places now that use duck fat and tallow for fries. So I was like, I'm going to hit one of those places up. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Because, okay, tell me if I'm just being like obsessive compulsive, but I'm in a good place. I'm loving all the definition everywhere. Like legs look good. I'm feeling good about stuff. And I have to ask myself, do I really want to lose a few days of progress to eat that? And nothing has really tempted me. Nothing at all. Like if I were in Italy, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to eat the tiramisu on my birthday because it won't make me sick, and I won't gain weight from it there anyways. But like here, I'm like, do I want a birthday cake? No, not really. Do I want to go to Andy and Hughes for gluten-free Chinese food on my birthday like I do every year? Not this year. Yeah, like and I don't want to be too extra on it, but that's I go big or go home. Like I'm gonna be fucking extra on everything.
Yeah.
Be big about your health. I'm big about food. I'm gonna just change the world, make people healthy. I'm going all in on it.
Absolutely.
But I have to ask myself that question. Like today, there's 6 grams of sugar in this Fit Aid, and I did it because there's 200 milligrams of caffeine, and it's the only caffeine I've had today. And I didn't want to be like boring on the podcast after a late night. I got home at 11:59 on the dot. I felt like Cinderella, like I didn't quite turn into the pumpkin. Made it through the door. That's late for me. So, but yeah, that's not going to sink my battleship from the agave or anything like that. But if it were just like, pure cane sugar from Mexico, Coca-Cola, I'd be like, if I had a monitor, it'd be high, not as high as the rice, but have to ask myself. And maybe that's what people need to do. Maybe you need to weigh what's important to you. Like,
No, absolutely. And I was going to say that that's the difference between where you are and where most are. This is the point, what I like to call like the chapter 50 of a fitness journey,
yeah,
of someone who's gone through multiple ups and downs, multiple testing, multiple trying, all these different avenues. And when you hit a certain point to where you are so in touch with your mind and your body that you're right, it's not worth ever sacrificing. Like it just doesn't outweigh how good you feel, but you'd have never reached this point if you hadn't gone down this road.
yeah.
And that's the thing. Most people are weak. They don't have discipline anyways. So
I remember being there though.
yeah. So
I remember being
there. Yeah. I was gonna say
there.
most people, I'll be honest, you won't reach this point. You just won't, because you don't have it in you. This takes a very special person to get to a point where food doesn't control them. Food controls most people more than they know. And that's just us being personal and knowing from dealing with my own problems that I had to deal with, dealing with my own clients. People give food so much power. And so once you actually break through to the point where you feel so good in your skin and you know what causes you not to, it's like, why would you keep slicing your wrist with these fucking cheat meals, this junk food, this poison, all these things? It's not worth it.
It's not.
But
you get there, you won't, but you can. And here's the thing too. Like one of my personal training clients is like, I love that you never judge. Like I never judge anybody. Nobody's in any position I mean, who am I to cast shade on someone after the life I had growing up and the weight issues and everything? And I talk about this in the book. My book is called Heal Thyself, my 30 years to healing myself, or Heal Thyself, 30 years to fixing my health. I don't even have the title completely done. But in that, it's like, in my journey to get here, it's made me better able to help people. And I would never man, I get it. There will be times in life where everything is just like, and all you have is that food to comfort you because you don't have a person in your life. Maybe you don't have family. And maybe that's how it was. Like, how many of us parents have shut up our kid with food or with a phone, right? Until you're like, okay, this is not, we have to find other ways. Like, we've been there, we've done that, we've been on the receiving end of it. And I think that the biggest hope is that at some point through the podcast, the words coming out of our mouth, watching the change in us. Like, who's it? Carrie last week calls us out. Look at you guys getting you get a podcast. Now you're all like fit and trim, and I'm like, thanks. Like, I didn't think about that, but like, it wasn't like we obsessed on it. It just happened because we had worked our way to this point of understanding and this level of consciousness of what's important, what we're doing, right? And that does not mean that one day you won't catch me out having a glass of Bordeaux wine at some point, because I enjoy wine. Like I enjoy imported wines. I don't need it for anything, but once in a while I'd be like, I want to go sit on the patio and have a glass. Or when I'm in Italy in a few years, I don't drink wine, but I don't need it. And I don't have to talk myself out of it. I have to decide it's a choice to have it, not a need or a compulsion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It absolutely makes sense. There's a big difference when it's like, I need this to have fun.
We're needing it. Yeah.
I need this to get myself into like party mode, or I need this to feel good. Those are very, very, very different, because you're obviously putting an exterior item in charge of how you feel within yourself. And the minute that you're looking to the outside to feel good within, you're already lost.
Yeah, true. And this is it's funny because it happened. So Guy and I, another shout out to Guy Tono, like with this up in this whole podcast today.
On the podcast.
He should be on the podcast, but he cannot share stories about me from age 12 on since he's known me. We're gonna hard stop on that. He used to make fun of me, tell me I had Van Halen hair because remember the big hair?
Oh yeah.
My carrots were better at the Giants game than garlic fries too, guys. So there's that. We joked that we were going to create a business called www.letusmakeyourpartyfun.com, and you could come pay us to come to your party and make it fun. I've never done drugs. The FBI, when I was waiting to get on with them, they're like, who is this squeaky clean girl out in Nevada right now? Like, had never done anything like that. I drank only, I think just people would buy me a hand. I'm like, it's so delicious because it didn't taste like, I've never been a hard, like, whiskey kind of girl. I can't stomach that. I'm not built for that. It's not built that way. So, like you can be the life of the party and have fun. And if people expect you to be drunk, you can fake it. There's a Saturday Night Live skit around that. You can watch that skit. You could do that. But I mean, the point is like you make things fun, not the food or the drink that you put inside of you. Like absolutely. Everybody's got yeah. And if you're an introvert, then don't feel like you have to go to a party. Absolutely. Okay. I got a question for Nate, right? Okay. This level of discipline with your health and nutrition, how does it spill over into all the areas of your life, right? So we know, like, you are the pinnacle of an example of what I do not fuck around and find out when it comes to my health and my food. But what about the rest of your life? Like, what does this discipline and mindset do for you in all areas?
So since the Winter Ant 100, I was intentionally looking to see what kind of changes would also take place outside. Yeah. Because I knew that most of these things that I was working on, because there's an aspect of the meditation, there's an aspect of the reading, there's an aspect of setting aside the money within the program. There's all of these things that I feel are crucial for anybody's life. And so naturally, because I was spending so much time working on myself, my environment around me began to change as well. And so since the Winter Ant, we obviously, as you know, we released an app onto the Google Store. I've released a few Audible books. I've done a whole lot of things that I haven't accomplished within the past 3 years. And it was because I could honestly say that even though I was pretty disciplined, I was distracted. Like I wasn't moving how I'm moving now. I wasn't executing daily like I am, because once you get into the habit of executing on yourself daily, then you naturally begin to start executing it in other aspects. And I'm not going to steal the quote. This is from Bedros, but it's also something that I've always said. The way you do one thing is the way that you do everything. And if you kind of have a half-ass approach, like, I'm gonna get my feet wet, then you're gonna get a feet wet approach where it's just your feet that got wet. Yeah. As opposed to I had told myself I was gonna be all in. And obviously, once my mind was nice and clear, once I was used to following the regiment, everything else just started to fall into place. Like I can't even explain it. Me and my business partner, we started doing things like it was, but this is why it's weird. All the stuff that we've accomplished were things that I was talking about for a year. And it was like, why wasn't it taking place? Why wasn't it getting done? Yeah. It was great talk. But there was always something else. But because I was on this mindset shift of I'm embracing the discipline, I'm not looking at this challenge, I'm looking at this as a program for my life to help me become the person who I need to be to achieve the goals that I want. And I would say that's probably why there's been the biggest change in me, because probably for the first time, my vision and my actions and everything have been congruent in a straight line. There's days that I would waver off and I'd want to, yeah, I like to go to Monterey. I like to take a trip. There's days that I want to be like a normal human being. And now it's at the point where I don't care if I'm not like anyone around me. I could care less because this is who I am. And I'm happy in this state. I love freaking discipline. I love knowing that we're accomplishing tasks. I love executing, and I wouldn't trade that for the past 2022 to like 2024 of distraction.
Yeah.
That's all it was. Like it was a blur. I was doing things that I probably shouldn't have been. I was getting involved in stuff that I shouldn't have been and distracted. And so this is the first time that once everything was in a straight line and I was walking one path, all these other doors began to open up. And so that's the other thing that I would say is that that's those are the changes that I begin to see outside of me. And then also we got the extra $2,000. It's like my whole entire life, I've never had an extra $2,000 just lying around between January and April.
Yeah.
And that's just from tracking all the spending. And so we were able to roll that into an IRA and do some other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like all of these different things that there was always, I don't know, something stopping me. But my whole life has changed since the program. And that's how come I don't even want to look back. There's a part of me like I literally keep telling myself every day, this is who you are. You can't ever go back to who you were January 1st. You don't ever want to be that individual, and just keep on moving forward on the path. Because if this was the result I was able to get, imagine this result compounded over 200 days, compounded over 300 days. Imagine winning a fucking decade and what these results will look like. Like, that's the mindset. I'm not looking for balance. I'm fucking looking to be someone who executes. And so, but that's not for everybody. If kicking back on the weekends and like barbecuing and all that stuff is cool, that was fun for me.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm about. So
So you really found who you are and all. Like, I mean, like that cliche thing, go find yourself. But like, you know, the best version of Ty.
Yeah.
And there's no going back for you because you love that. And who doesn't want that for everybody? Like, that's amazing. Yeah. I love that. I think it's fantastic.
So I'm going to ask you the last question. How does this level of care for your overall health, has it spilled into the rest of your life? Fitness goals, career goals, Netflix,
Yeah.
your own business, your own book. Like, let's talk about all that.
Yeah, all of it, really. So you mastermind on Netflix. You help me with so much, and you're like my sounding board and my person with that. So I'm getting more done on behind the scenes of that than before because singular focus, like you're talking about. I actually find that I have zero tolerance for interruptions and getting really pissed off, like phone rings and I'm like right in the middle of something. So my goal is like to go somewhere and like put like on noise reducing like ear covers and maybe just sit in a cafe with internet and just like work on things for a while. Got Metfix Method up on Facebook, the page, working on making Coach Lori professional on Instagram, getting the blue check mark, linking those two so that I have all that together for that. Almost done with what I want on all the website pages, right? May 9th is my next meeting with my website designer. I've got Karen will be doing some professional shots for the website and getting pictures and videos for that. I'm really excited to hire her. 4 Elements Photography is amazing. She did my daughter's 16th birthday photos, and they're like still the only newest photo that's up in the house is that one from the birthday, and all the headshots for CrossFit Sarah. Like, I love that. And I think that I don't know, like I value time so much more now. And so it really forces me to be present when we're in a meeting or I'm out with my husband or my daughter needs it. Like, it's making me a more present, really focused person throughout the day. Because, sometimes you see me run around this building, it's like the flash. It's just a blur. Like, there goes her hair. Like, I'm so busy with things that I'm missing a lot of detail. And so I've stopped doing that. I've cut out the things that I don't need to spend my time on. And I really focus on the things that are important.
I love that. I love that tremendously. I obviously love the aspect of obviously beginning to see value in time itself.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that a lot of us unnaturally, we obviously take for granted, but it's the only thing that is constantly fleeting. You're constantly losing it. So therefore it must be the most valuable because you're getting less and less of it as each second ticks by.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't value. You'll hear people make comments like, "Oh, I'm trying to kill time." Like once you reach this point that me and you're at, you realize time is nothing to kill. Time is something that you want to use to basically seize every moment. And I also love how you're more present because, as you said, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, as we were just talking about. And once you got very, very focused on building this amazing brand that you started, you're now seeing that same level of focus within the life of your family, the life of everything else.
Yeah.
I was going to say something else that I didn't mention. That was something that I also noticed is that I became a lot more present. Like I remember times where I'd be driving home and like I would literally, I'd either be like having a conversation with you in my mind or a conversation with like some other nonsense. And it got to a point where I got into the habit of once I would get in the car, or once I would do anything, I would just literally say, I'm having a good drive home. And it would cause me to be present in what I was doing. Like I'd be brushing my teeth. I'd be like, I'm enjoying brushing my teeth. I'm having a good time in the shower. The shower used to be the worst because your brain, once you're in the water, you start to think a lot, which is usually good, but your mind starts to either talk to people or you start to think of all kinds of things and you kind of lose track. And it was one of those things where I even applied it there, like, I'm having a good shower right now. And I would just say that until I got to the point where I could just be present. And so that was something that I didn't mention, but just the improvement in my own personal presence of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But so that's huge that
I
we're able to see that. And it's also cool too, because as you begin to make your own personal changes, your outside world also begin to change. And that's what people fell to see. They're spending so much time trying to fix all this stuff out here, which just isn't real. This isn't it. And when you become a better person, when you become an individual who executes, who takes their health seriously, who begins to focus and move with purpose, when those things take place, it's almost like mountains start fucking moving.
Yeah.
And so
that's true. Because just the whole leading by example. I mean, even in my clients, like they see the change, they're like, okay, Lori's got insulin resistance again and dealing with weight and this and that, and then it's like fixed. And they're like, oh.
Yeah. And that's the other thing as a staple, it shuts up people too, because you're walking what you talk.
Yeah.
You're not like there's nothing worse than a personal trainer whose stomach sticks out more than their chest and they're giving someone advice. And
you're just shoving in fast food every day. Or you're just like eating crap.
Or there's nothing worse, and I don't care, I'll call it out. There's nothing worse than a doctor who looks like shit trying to give someone else health advice. It's like, I can't even take you seriously. Like, what are you really talking about right now? You're a fucking walking contradiction. Can
I tell you one more like doctor fail thing that, okay, because it has to do with me leaning out. Okay. So last weekend, I have my rucksack that I got from Glassman at the affiliate gathering, the 10-year plus in Whistler back in 2019. Okay. And Tim takes the CrossFit patch off and puts my MetFix patch on. And I'm like, let's go rucking. like a child with a new toy. Haven't used it yet. And so we load up the bags and we got the weight. And I'm always kind of ambivalent because the back surgery was a long time ago, but if something hits on it or puts a lot of pressure on the surgery site, it still bothers me. Like if I wear tight jeans like that push in, my back starts to ache. There's scar tissue. It just sucks, right? So we're out rucking and Tim makes a statement. Oh, I can really see the difference between your left calf and your right calf. In October was when I was running down 6 stairs to get to the gym to teach the perimenopause clinic and felt a snap and then was like a pogo stick, right? Then 2.5 weeks later, it's healed. I work out, deadlift coach. And then I cover Tim's class while he's in the bathroom. And I show one burpee over the bar and I felt it go. And that was what put me down until, in the January. So it's kind of amazing. I'm getting all these PRs and doing stuff with an injured calf. So where the doctor fail comes in again. And this is why I feel like healthcare is the biggest waste in this area, especially, is I get a new doctor at John Muir to get out of Kaiser. And it's just for a routine physical. I haven't had a physical like 6-7 years. I can order my own blood work. What do I need them for? But it's free. I'll go do it. And I tell her about the MTHFR gene mutation. And then she's like, anything else going on? I'm like, yeah, I like felt a pull in my calf. And now it's still like a 1/2 inch bigger than my right one. And she's like, you need to go get the MRI. So I get the MRI. There's no blood clot. And there's a ton of fluid. But nobody tells me there's nothing. So $600 out of my pocket later. You don't have a blood clot. Well, what do I have? It's the same shit. You have a thyroid disease. Take pig thyroid because your thyroid can't do its own job. How can you fix my thyroid? We don't worry about that. Just put the Band-Aid. Just let something else work for your thyroid. Or why can't I lose weight? Take Ozempic. No, why can't I lose weight? Why are you trying to give me some shit pill with all the side effects shot? There's never an answer. And it's the same thing. So because I've leaned out so much, like probably 10 pounds thinner since the beginning of the year. When I'm walking, there's a huge thing where something's detached and my fucking calf. So yesterday was barbell. Yeah, I mean doing stuff, and it was really like it was biting again because the day before I ran.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did the running barbell movement, and then after the rucking, and then a hardcore kettlebell one with lunging, and then barbell or running and then barbell. I'm like, my calf is like bothering me, and I have to go to a concert last night, right? So we taped it up, and Tim took the picture, and I'm like, so now, like, I'm like, okay, so there's peptides that can help muscle repair. Like the damage is done, but nobody knew what they were talking about. And then when I asked the woman at the second part of the physical to go over my blood work, where she's like, "Oh, amazing, ancient, everything's great," and you're like, "But what about my calf? Was it compartment syndrome? Like I couldn't do compression? No, if it was compartment syndrome, you would have needed a surgery." And I'm like, even if it were mild, yeah, there's no such thing. And I'm like, is there a tear? I don't, well, they would have said something, right? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't do MRI.
Yeah, that's not my job.
Would they have? Because I'm a lot of things, but I'm not an imaging doctor.
Yeah.
And I don't read them. And I'm just like, sweet Jesus. Like, oh my God, there's never like, if I had cancer, they could tell me. Short of that, like, they're like, oh no. And then how many blood tests do you go through to find out if you have an autoimmune disease or like, we,
No,
I kind of want my $600 back. I'm going to say something like, this is some BS. Like, I have no problem paying for imaging if somebody tells me what they saw and what to do about it and what it means. But all you told me is that there wasn't a blood clot. No one, the woman doing it is like, you have a ton of fluid around your muscles, and no one, from the doctor to the person reading the image, gave me anything. And now it just takes someone walking behind me on a hike that's like, oh shit, there's a huge thing missing here that's not, and you're just like, oh God, and so yeah, these are the things that drive me batty. Because I see it in my clients and my patients. When people come to me to get healed, they've come to the end of their rope. And for me, like I hit that a long time ago. So I just had to keep figuring stuff out for myself and others and learning as I go, because apparently it doesn't really matter who the insurance is or the doctor or how great John Muir is compared to Kaiser. Like they're just not trained to do the job of healing things or really getting the bottom of why it hurts and what the problem is.
No, absolutely not.
And so, yeah, I mean, we showed you the side by side of Tim's patient with scoliosis, and then 6 months of working with him, and he's like this and that. That was posted today. We'll show you the picture of my calf, what it looks like after months of nobody having anything to tell them what to do about it, and there was something likely detached, and didn't even offer like to talk to a specialist, because she actually said, oh my God, well, maybe it's because you do hormone replacement therapy. And I was like, what is that? Why?
Are you just guessing?
Like,
Are you just grabbing things that you can kind of just
like I
on the wall and see if something sticks?
years and nothing swells from it, and there's there's like an injury to it. Yeah.